This is how people think real estate works. Buy some properties, collect rent, sell for a profit, and boom, you are rich. But here's the harsh truth. This is how broke people think about real estate. People with a wealthy mindset, they don't buy real estate to make money. They are buying real estate to keep money. And if we don't understand the subtle difference, we will never be able to create wealth. I'll talk about that and more in today's video, so let's get started. Full disclosure, I'm a mortgage agent, and there is a taboo around mortgage agents and realtors that all they want to do is pump the market. And sure, there are agents who pump the market, but if you've watched my videos or talked to me or someone in my team, we have never asked people to buy unlimited homes as a means to be rich. In fact, I have made several videos in the past where I have talked about how you can get rich even without buying your primary home. And heck, I'm probably the only person on the internet saying that renting is not paying someone else's mortgage. In fact, when someone closes a primary home with us, I do a one-to-one retirement roadmap for them, and most times real estate is not even part of the plan. You do not always require real estate to retire. Period. In fact, I make a living in this industry, and even in my retirement plan, I do not have more than 2 investment properties. Let's talk about my retirement plan. So my retirement plan is at least, if everything goes wrong, at least I would want to retire with $207,000. And how I arrived at this number, I'll encourage you to watch the video. I'll link it in the description below. That's my $5 million retirement plan video. I talk about that in length, but let's talk about this. My mission is to have $207,000 and change per year pre-tax income by the time I'm 62 and retired. Now, my plan is to retire at least 5 years early, but let's talk about this because this was my base plan. The first part of this plan is to buy a primary home, which I already have. I'm living in my forever home right now, and I want to make $15,000 per year of additional payment so that I can pay off this loan in 20 years and not keep this for 30 years. That's first part of my retirement equation. The second one is not real estate, but stock market. I invest $2,500 and now I'm investing, in fact, $5,000 a month, and you only do, what is okay for you in terms of income that you're making. You can start with as little as $100 per month, but as you make more money, it can increase. I explain again that in my video where I detail out this entire retirement plan, but I invest $2,500 per month, now $5,000 per month for 25 years. If you do that for the next 25 years at an 8% year-on-year return, and every month you do, whether the market is up or down, I would end up very conservatively with a portfolio of $3 million, which would give me an income of about $117,000. If you don't know how I arrive at this income number, it's basically 4% of my portfolio. So if I draw 4% of my portfolio every single year, and if that portfolio on average grows by more than 4%, I'm actually not touching my principal amount. So that's how I, get to the income of $117,000. So that would be one part of my retirement income passive that I will be using when I don't have any active income. And plus, the first part where I am mortgage free, that is also a really important part of living a mortgage free life, a rent free life, because I'll not be having any active income and the rents are more likely to increase in future. And the third part, of course, I'm a real estate, I'm in the business of real estate. So real estate has to be in my plan of action, but I don't buy real estate like most people do. I don't want to buy more than 2 cash flow properties. Eventually, I would not want to have more than 2 cash flow properties with an NOI, which is called net operating income. It's not rents, it's not cash flow, it's net operating income of $2,500 per month. So just to simply explain what net operating income is, it is your overall, rent that you're getting. Let's say you're having a duplex and you're getting let's say $4,000 of rent, and all the expenses that you have, you just deduct from the overall rent. But you do not deduct your mortgage from it. You're assuming that you have a $0 mortgage on this house. So you have your rents, you have all other expenses, your property taxes, your, property management fee, your insurance, everything else, maintenance, vacancy. So everything else included in the net operating expenses, and you deduct that from the overall rent that you get. And that actually makes $2,500 a month. The reason why I have this is because I actually want these homes to be mortgage free as well, both these homes to be mortgage free as well as I retire, so that I can draw the entire rent. Let's say it's $60,000 per year per property. This is the net operating income after the expenses. Let's say it's $60,000, per year per property. That would come to about $120,000 per year. And this way, I've diversified my income streams, both passive, and obviously there's some management required in the investment properties, but I've diversified my passive income on retirement or my retirement income into two different buckets. Plus, I have lower costs because I don't have a rent or a mortgage to pay, and my annual income comes to well over $230,000, which is above the mission or the target that I have for myself. Do you notice how I don't talk about selling, how I don't talk about equity, how I don't talk about profit after selling? I don't talk about capital gain tax. Because it doesn't matter to me. Yes, I'll be rotating the same money so that my homes are fresh. For example, if I buy something now, let's say a 5-year-old house, in 25, 30 years, it'll be a 35-year-old house and there'll be high maintenance. I'll be rotating the same money within, real estate, but eventually I would want to have two cash flow properties which are not very old, and I'll be rotating the same money that I've invested today. I still have 5 investment properties. I'll just put everything into 2 investment properties so that I am mortgage free on those properties as well, and I live off, those properties, and I supplement my retirement income with that. But I'm not bothered about equity. I'm not bothered about profit. What would you do with a $3 million house with no mortgage on it? Would you count that as income? Can you count that as your net worth? You would always need that primary home for you to live in. Even if you downsize, you will need to buy something else or pay rent with that. Or if you even go to another country, yes, the purchasing power parity can be very different. If you move to India, you'll still need a roof over your head. So I don't count that as profit or equity. Like, there's no point of doing that. That's the reason why I don't understand why people talk about, this is the amount of profit that I want to make in real estate. Doesn't matter, because all you're trying to do is have enough income when you don't have any active income on retirement. It does not matter how much money you have in your bank account. What matters is the income that you can draw without working active hours. That's the thinking that we need to change, which brings me to how people think about primary home. There's a broke mindset, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not saying that people are broke. This is my mindset as well when I did not understand this, when I did not spend so much money, learning from the top 1% and how they think, and, my circle improved, and this was my mindset as well, the broke mindset and the wealthy mindset. The broke mindset, when it comes to primary home, thinks about my home is an investment and part of my net worth. A wealthy mindset, which will be my home is not an investment because it takes money out of my pocket. Anything that takes money out of your pocket, does not put money in your pocket, cannot be counted as an investment. It's as simple as that. A broke mindset would say, why would I buy? When you say, oh, why do you want to buy a home? And people say that renting is paying someone else's mortgage. That's the most broke thing to say, or buy a primary home. That's such a bad reason to buy a primary home. I'll give you a reason why, right? So let's say, let's talk about grocery. Grocery got 20% more expensive. Would you open a Walmart store because grocery got, if renting is paying someone else's mortgage, buying grocery from Walmart is also paying their bills, is also paying their rent, it's also making Walmart more, expensive, or talk about any product for that matter. If you're buying a product, you're making someone else rich. Would you start making that product? No, right? Then why do we think of that, in housing terms as well? So that's how wrong this statement is. I don't know if you guys agree with me. However, a wealthy mindset would say that I want a mortgage and rent-free retirement. I want to make memories in this house. I'm a new father, and I want to make memories with my kid, standing on the same wall and then measuring height, and I don't want to change homes. I don't want the school district to change. I want to do all of that. I want to celebrate festival, and eventually I want a mortgage and rent-free retirement. That's how wealthy people think about their primary home. I will wait for the bottom of the market. We think a lot about the bottom. We think, that we can time the market. A wealthy person would think, I will buy a home that I can afford when I can afford. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. We cannot time the market. Who knows we are at the bottom or not? Who knew that in 2022, we'll just hit the prices that we hit? No one knows that. If you buy a home that you can afford, when you can afford it, that should be enough. Buy low, refinance, buy more real estate, repeat until rich or broke. And I'll talk about one example as well. But this is a very typical strategy that the industry pushes on people, and it's so wrong. It's absolutely wrong. The better way of looking at this, or the wealthy mindset, would say that buy when ready, pay off as soon as possible, retire mortgage free, and pass it on to the next generation. Why do you have to sell your primary home? You can upgrade, sure, you can rotate the money again and upgrade into a newer home, into a bigger home, based on your income again. We'll talk about income as well, but buy when ready, pay off, retire mortgage free, and pass it on to the next generation. Why sell? The fifth thing, how can I buy a home with the least money down? Some people, advertise, oh, you can do a 0% down payment, you can do a 5% down payment, 3% down payment. The wealthy mindset would say, how can I take the least amount of loan and pay it off early? If you look at these two situations and put yourself into the broke mindset versus the wealthy mindset, a wealthy mindset will be a lot happier. Look at the things that you worry about when we are in a broke mindset, right? My home is an investment. Sure, it's not. We know that in our heads. It's not. We are buying because renting is paying. That's a lie. I will wait for the bottom of the market, and then we are waiting, stressed out. Oh, did I make the right choice or not? Buy low, refinance, and then you are thinking of buying real estate over real estate over real estate and making everyone else happy, and everyone else risk free. Your mortgage agent, your real estate agent, they are all making commissions and making money off you, but you have a massive risk of going broke on one of those investments. And then how can I buy with the least money? Why stress yourself out when you can be much happier in the wealthy mindset? Let's talk about an investor, and I'll talk about a story here. This is based on a true story. I was in US, in Florida, as part of a mastermind, and I met this guy there. Hopefully he's not looking at this video. Even if he is, I'm not taking any names. But this guy, used to buy houses. So let's say he bought a house. This is a typical, blueprint that he used to follow. He bought a house for $700,000 at 20% down payment. He used to rezone those houses to make. So he would buy a big lot, and then he used to rezone that into 4 houses. So he used to, let's say, build 4 townhouses on a detached lot. Then he used to demolish and construct 4 houses in 1 year. So he used to take 1 year, construct 4 houses for about $1.2 million. And if you buy something like that, you can actually get a 100% construction loan if you have bought the home in cash. Now he was doing construction loan, 100% of construction loans. He was taking a lot of debt, but there was a market for that as well. He used to sell each of those homes for $700,000 because these are all fancy looking homes. The old, 50, 60-year-old homes actually updated into fancy looking 4 homes, and used to sell each of them for $700,000, and he used to keep the profit of about $700,000 to $800,000. If you do the math, that's what it will come to. He did that from 2012 to 2020 and made a gross profit of $9 million. So he made $9 million of profit doing this for those 8 to 9 years when real estate was only going up. That's another broke mindset. Real estate always goes up, right? It does not. In long term, yes, but in short term, you can have, variabilities, which is exactly what happened with this guy. 2021 and 2022 happened. We all knew what happened then. At the peak of the market, he bought 4 single family units. They were all, and if you're in Kitchener, and if you were on Victoria Street, you would see, if you're coming towards King Street, you would see on the left side, there were 4 or 5 homes on sale for a very long time. Those are the exact homes that we are talking about here. He bought 4 single family units side by side for $4 million. So he actually overpaid for those in a peak of the market already, because not everyone wanted to sell, right? So, but they were very old homes. $4 million is what he spent to buy those, lots. And it took him about 6 months to do that. Again, peak of the market, October 2021 to May 2022. And he took a 50% private loan. So of the $4 million, he took a private loan of 10% plus interest rate. Interest rates were actually not very bad at that time. And he put in 50% of his own money, because he actually made a lot of money doing what he did for the last 9 years. August 2022, home started to going down. We all knew what happened to the real estate market at that time. And homes started to go down in value, and now worth $2.5 million total. All the 4 homes were worth about $2.5 million. So he had already lost over $1 million in value. Rezoning permits took about 8 months. Again, it was COVID. It was very difficult to get that. Feb of 2023 is when he started buying in October 2021. Feb of 2023, almost 1.5 years later, he got the rezoning permits, and now he could build 10 townhomes. However, the problem is that his holding cost has increased, because in this time, the interest rates were also rising. He had to now pay about $15,000 per month in mortgage, and he did not have any rent coming from there, because he was doing the rezoning and everything there. And he was under $360,000 only in mortgage for the next 2 years of when he was building this. His rezoning permits and everything costs him about $100,000. It was more than $100,000, but it was spread across 8-9 months. So he was not very clear on the cost there. But construction cost was $3.5 million plus $700,000 of additional holding cost, because you're holding that home as well. There are other expenses that you have. All these costs, which were purely on private money and his own money, was about $4.7 million, and he was bleeding $70,000 per month on a $5.5 million dollars in debt. Now, some might say that he made $9 million and $5.5 million. Yes, it's bad, but it's not that bad. But he did 3 of these investments. This was just one of those. And that's how I'm not sure what happened to this guy, but he was this close to filing for bankruptcy and moving to the US. That's why we met in the US. The broke mindset would say buy low, sell high, refinance, repeat until rich or broke. Now, I'm not saying that the burst strategy is a bad strategy. It's a very legit strategy in a decent market, but we are not in that market. And this thing, what we don't realizes that the burst strategy works really well. However, when it doesn't, in a market like this, when the market actually goes down, or in an uncertain market where there's so much political instability that we have right now, or governments are changing, everything is happening around us. If a market like this hits in the middle of a flip, in the middle of a burst strategy, you will end up into a lot of debt, especially if you have taken a lot of debt to make this happen. Now, if you have done a 20, 30, 40% down payment and you are stuck with that home, you can simply put it on rent and you'll be okay. But if you're doing something very risky, that's where you have a risk of going broke. And I've seen many people, get into that. A wealthy mindset would be, how can I buy? It's not about buying low. How can I buy something at a discount? Then cash flow from it. Even if I have to keep it, something happens, I at least, I'm getting paid for that asset. I can supplement my retirement income. If I keep it for 20, 30 years, I'll supplement my retirement income. I pay, the tenant will pay off the house and I'll pass it on to the next generation. That's how wealthy people think. In fact, I know a lot of people who buy buildings, like massive buildings on cash because they're making $1 million a month, and legit $1 million a month, and they have to invest it somewhere, and they would buy buildings in cash. Every 3 months, they would buy a building in cash so that it just, keeps giving them cash flow, and they'll just retire with that and pass it on to the next generation. Buy for appreciation, even if property is cash negative. Again, this is something that even I have done, right? So I would not recommend doing that because that's a broke mindset. And like I said, I'm not trying to demean anyone. I used to make I used to have this thinking as well. And until I met some people who got some sense into me. Buy only for cash flow and a minimum NOI of $2,500. We talked about this. Only buy if it cash flows. I will wait for the bottom of the market because I want to make money in 1 to 2 years. That's not something that is a guarantee. Yes, you can make money in 1 to 2 years, but there are so many costs associated with this and there are market realities associated with this because this might not happen. I will hunt for a great deal. That's how a wealthy mindset would think the same situation. I will hunt for a great deal. I'll not wait for the bottom. I'll hunt for a great deal in any market where numbers have to make sense. NOI of $2,500 and cash flow positive. And I'll hold that asset for minimum of 10 years. And then I'll decide what to do. Most people will actually hold it forever or, rotate that money like we discussed earlier. That's the mindset that we need to carry. I'm buying a rental property to make money and be financially free in 2 years. It's just like this concept only exists on Instagram Reels. It does not exist in real life. You cannot, unless you're making a shitload of money and you're able to pay down those houses. And let's say you make $400, $500, $600, let's say it's $700 of cash flow per property. In order to retire, you'll at least need 10 properties, each with 20% down payment at the minimum. So this concept that you have been sold does not work. I am buying a rental property to preserve wealth. You have made a lot of money. You are preserving that wealth, beating inflation. You are invested in the stock market as well. You want to diversify into a different asset where we can relatively safely use leverage, and you want to build passive income stream for retirement. That's how we need to think of as an investor. I want to buy with the least amount of money. OPM, baby. OPM is other people money. If you don't know that, other people money is you take money from someone, let's say at a 10%, or you make them equity partners in the property that you are managing, and you're using that money. Now, nothing wrong in OPM. Other people money is a legit strategy, but only if you're doing it as a business. If you're doing it as a side hustle and taking other people's money, there's a very high chance that you will make them broke along with you. The right way to do this, I want to ensure my down payment is enough to make the property cash flow on day one. That's how you need to think. I'll give you an example, a real example. I bought a condo that will be delivered in 2028, 2029. So it's long from there. I know that it will not cash flow, but I'm going to make it to 35% to 40%. I'm actually preparing for me to make a 35% to 40% down payment. If I'm not able to sell the condo after I get possession, I'll make sure it cash flows. That's really important if you are building wealth. Two things that we need to really remember. Do not buy a primary home if you can't hold it for 5 to 10 years. I can't stress this enough. And buying an investment property will not make you rich, at least not in the short run. It's a store of value. It's a way for you to preserve and build wealth. It's a way for you to diversify your retirement income. That's why we are buying investment properties, not to make us rich in 1 to 2 years. And your biggest asset will always be your active income right now. That active income will buy you assets that can actually pay for your retirement and help pay for your bills and for your luxuries when you're not making any active income. But that would only happen when you retire. Right now, your biggest asset is how much money you are making and how you are allocating that to different assets to give you a passive retirement, which is exactly why I built Grow Nation. When you close a mortgage with us for your primary home, which we help you to strategize on as well, I have created a community for all my clients where I talk about, and you'll see how little I talk about real estate here. Obviously, there's a one-to-one call that happens with me where we build a $5 million roadmap. And most times, like I said, real estate is not even part of that. Job Accelerator program, again, how to make six figures. If you're not making six figures, there's an entire course that I have curated. Then you have retirement planning, how to retire with $5 million. There's budgeting, there's investing, and I have my friends, doing this, my financial planner and my mentor, who are now my friends, they have helped me build this. $5 million in 30 years, Q&A, business, how to make more than $5 million. And, this actually relates to how to start a business. We, in fact, talk about debt management. How do you reduce your debt? We actually talk about that. And insurance and estate planning. So very little real estate being talked about here. Then we have a goal setting workshop, which again had nothing to do with real estate. Then we have a first business accelerator that I'll be launching in April of 2025. It's coming very, very soon. And we'll talk, this will be like a 10-hour course on how to start your first business and scale it. Again, nothing about real estate here. That's how you build your retirement. Your biggest asset is your active income, which is exactly what we talk about. If you talk about the monthly and the bi-weekly masterminds that we do, we talked about financial planning, we talked about investing in the US, a little bit about real estate here. Again, building business with social media. We talked about power of coaching. We talked about how to know your fig jam and make millions. Start a guide to investing in the US. This was a hot topic, and I actually made everything that I knew how to do it because I have invested in the US here. Basics of options trading, again, to do with income, start a six-figure business and quit your job, value equation in business. Again, we talk about so much about investing in stock market. Very little is being talked about real estate in this particular community. Grow Nation is all about retiring people with $200,000 plus in income, which will be passive when we retire. We have the one-to-one call that happens with me. Every single client of mine is coming and doing the one-to-one here. Then we have the courses. We have 2 live courses right now, but we actually launch 2 courses every single year. 2024 was 6-figure job accelerator and $5 million retirement planning. 2025 will be first business accelerator in US real estate investing. I'll be doing a full-fledged course on that. Then bi-weekly masterminds, we do 26 calls per year, which is 1 month of investing. So once per month we meet and talk about different investment vehicles, and once a month we talk about different business vehicles where we can actually make a 6-figure business only for people who want to leave their jobs. If you don't want to leave their jobs, people don't actually attend the business, once a month business. They can actually choose not to attend that. Grow Nation annual gala, we have a pass for 2. So every year I do a Grow Nation gala. 2024 was 1 year that we did not do. 2022 and 2023 we did that. 2024 I had a kid. We had a baby, and therefore we could not do that. But this year again, November 15th, there'll be a massive event, more than 800 people, and there will be amazing people who will be coming as speakers on this event. I've actually started planning for this event in February. That's how big this is going to be. And there's an amazing community where we talk about so many things. People have leaky roofs, and we talk about, they asked for at 12:57 for a plumber, and I was able to give them 6 minutes later. So I'm very active in this particular community. We talk about job referrals. This is amazing. People are actually referring people. There are over 400 people in this group. So obviously, they're representing 350 different companies. We talk about, different stocks. And again, this is all friendly advice that we are giving. Some people having fun. Some people are really good and, read charts and stuff like that. So there are early indicators, that people give. And again, when I do the startup bootcamp, which the first one is happening on February 22nd, the first people to know about this at a 50% discount is this Grow Nation community again. And again, if you look at this community and the groups that we have, nothing relates to real estate. I talk very little about real estate. I am a huge believer of buying your primary home, which is exactly why we help specifically first-time home buyers and sometimes first-time investors. But the reason why I do that is because we are Indians and we really love to buy our homes, but also we are able to retire mortgage and rent free, which is a really critical thing if you want to retire in Canada. And if you're wondering how to join Grow Nation, the only way to join that is to become a client. I know it's unfair, but there's so much personal time that I give, and you saw the speed with which I reply to everyone. Even if they are giving me a DM, I try to respond to them within 24 hours. And the reason why I'm able to do that, all those one-to-ones, is because I had to keep this group small. And the only way, I knew to do that is I can only give it to my clients, at least for now. I hope this video was useful to you. Do hit the like button if you liked it, and do not forget to subscribe. There are 60% of you who watch the videos, and I have a very loyal viewership, but you do not subscribe to this. There are 60% of people who are not subscribed, but they are watching every single video. It would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to the channel. मिलते हैं अगली वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए बाय बाय.